All right, episode 11, second week of the college football rankings coming out. Very, very fun episode we got planned for you. We're going to get right into the rankings, fellas, but also stay tuned. We will be doing, as there's all these coaching jobs opening up, right? Of course, we have LSU. We've talked about that numerous times. We got Florida, Penn State. The list goes on. It seems like Auburn's already might have their coach. Same with Arkansas. We're going to do the top 10 jobs in our eyes. Stu's got all this criteria laid out. We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll get into the rankings here, but very excited to get into it, fellas. Second week of the rankings. Let's start off there. How are we feeling? We gave ratings last time out of 1 out of 10 or do a, A to F scale. Any change this week as last week? Do you guys feel there wasn't too much change in the rankings? Some teams lost, not many big names. The big names honestly survived, like Indiana, Oregon, I guess you could throw Vanderbilt in there. They made it, had an overtime game. I'm trying to think of other ones I'm forgetting. But, yeah, fellas, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, the rankings were kind of what I expected, at least based on what they did last week. Biggest thing that happened was just some of the games that played out this past weekend. A lot of big winners, a lot of big losers. I'd say the Big 12, now they're in a pretty good spot as opposed to the ACC. I don't even know what's going to happen there.
Yep, that one. Texas Tech for sure. They smoked. Thank you. They smoked BYU.
Yeah, on the no bet list. I mean, BYU was on my no bet list, and then I took them off, and I decided to take them to cover 15. They were right back on the no bet. Never again. I'm never betting on BYU ever again. Plus 15. How do you not cover 15? That's outrageous.
Well, that was the issue, Dak, is we were talking about in the morning, as we usually do, and I said, it's only going up. It's fishy. Stay away. It was too pretty for you to not take,
Yeah, but anyways, regardless.
I was like, I don't like it.
I know, but that's why I bought the 1.5. I was like, they just have to score once, which they did score once, but not till the fourth. It was an impressive win by Texas Tech, though. Their defense, that defense is legit. It's been good all year, but they showed out. That was a big win. But 1 through 12, I thought all the rankings, I mean, that's pretty much what I expected. Texas Tech moving up, that makes sense. And then A&M and Indiana, you could probably flip-flop them. Doesn't really matter. But biggest thing that I noticed is outside of the top 12 and like Cincinnati at 25, not a lot of teams truly control their own destiny. And so I think we're in for a pretty exciting final few weeks of college football, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think they look fine. I think they look just as good as last week. I mean, everyone pretty much makes sense where they're at to me. Yeah, I think the elephant in the room that we were all talking about before we hopped on here is the ACC situation with Miami being as high as they are. Other thing I wanted to mention real quick is we talked about it briefly last week, Utah and their chances at getting in. And so far it has gone how it has to go for them to have a shot at getting in. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, they would need another BYU loss, I believe, right? I mean, do they have 2 losses? Is that correct already?
They would probably
2 losses.
They would probably need to. Well, no, they need Texas Tech to lose one, and then
well, no, because Utah lost to Tech and they lost to BYU. They lost to both.
Those are their 2 losses. So they would need to win out. They already have 2 losses. They would need 2 losses from BYU.
They honestly, Utah.
Well, the reason why is because I think Texas Tech has the technically harder remaining schedule than BYU. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But I thought when we talked about it last week, the way we looked at it was like there's got to be 2 losses for BYU or Texas Tech. I mean, I actually can't remember. I was looking at the standings, but it was someone had to lose 2 of these last games coming up. But they needed Texas Tech to beat BYU still, essentially, to have it, because it's got to be Utah playing BYU in the Big 12 championship game for them to have a shot at making it.
I think it was the other way around, Stu, because
I think they need 2 more Tech losses.
I think it was BYU needed to win out and be undefeated because Tech already had that loss to Arizona State. I think you're mixing the 2. I'm pretty sure. Because they lost to them both head on. So
it might be. I'm gonna look at the standings and remaining schedules.
No, and I think, dude, there's even a situation where, like I said, Cincinnati at 25, they only have the 1 Big 12 loss.
Right. They can sneak in. And I still think, fellas, with all this being said, the Big 12 probably is a one-bid league because unless BYU makes it and then they beat Texas Tech, which they don't look like they're even the same level as Texas Tech. And I know that was in Lubbock and game day was there, and maybe that was just all the hype. But Tech looks like a real team and leaps and bounds ahead, of what we're seeing in the Big 12. I know they lost to Arizona State with Sam Leavitt out there still playing, and it was on the road, and it was just one of those games like, all right, well, if you drop one, you drop one. So tough to go undefeated in college football. But I do think that unless BYU runs the table and gets back in and then beats Tech, probably hard to leave out Tech, and it has to be probably a close game. But I'd assume it's a one bid league unless it's Tech and BYU. Unless BYU avenges their loss and they're 12-1, they're obviously in. Does Tech get in? Is the question.
I think I agree. I think the Big 12 is probably a one bid league. The only way they would get a couple of teams in is if, honestly, they would need a Big 10 collapse, most likely. Because the SEC is pretty close to, you could even see it this weekend. Like if Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss, if they all win this weekend, they're probably all in. So the SEC is almost already solidified at 4. Big 10 solidified at 3. They would need, for the Big 12 to get 2, you would need Oregon to collapse. Like USC would kind of have to eat itself apart, which would be part of the Oregon collapse. It would be really tough.
Yeah, agreed.
Because most likely the Big 10 is going to get 3, if not 4 in. The SEC is going to get 4, if not 5 in. And then you have the auto bids. And like you said, dude, Texas Tech manhandled BYU. Like
they could have scored. They took a lot of field goals. They could have won that by 40. I mean, they just didn't score in the red zone.
Dude, Texas Tech kind of did that.
It is BYU that would need to lose the 2 games for Utah to have a chance. It would have to be Utah plays Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. Because so Texas Tech, their remaining schedules, they got UCF at home and then at West Virginia. Probably gonna win both those. BYU though, they have 3 games left. They gotta play Sonny Dykes at home still. Not an easy win. At Cincinnati on the road, that's gonna be a tough one. And then they got UCF at home. So if they were to somehow lose to TCU and to Cincinnati here, BYU, Texas Tech, Big 12 championship game, or Utah, Texas Tech, Big 12 championship game. Utah beats Texas Tech.
Sure.
Really their only shot
that makes sense. Yeah, that would make sense. So there's a bye there for Tech, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the ACC thing that you brought up, Stu, because they brought this doomsday scenario up, and I think it's fascinating because the ACC right now, the highest team, Stu, do you have them? It's fine if not. Do you have the rankings? The highest team is technically Miami. They went from 18 to 15, and even though they're 7th in the ACC, which is fascinating. They had buys early, sure, but they lost to Louisville, so they're behind them. They lost to Louisville. They're behind them. Georgia Tech's technically in first right now with their 1 loss. Then you go down the list. Virginia, they've lost again. All the teams that needed to win lost, essentially. Pitt's still alive. But the point is, why I'm showing the 15 here is they technically have Miami in the playoffs as the 11th seed. They don't control their own destiny. And I don't even know if there's more than like a 3 or something like small % chance they can even be in the ACC championship. Their chances of being in the ACC championship are minute. And I don't know if at large they're going to get in at 10-2. Their best win is Notre Dame. We know that. But this conference is awful. They keep losing to there's nobody there. I mean, seriously, Georgia Tech, fun story. Even if they win out and then they beat Georgia, they're going to be in it, right? Pitt, they play Notre Dame. Doesn't matter if they lose to them. They have 2 chances to keep themselves in it. Virginia, Duke. There's a world, and this is where I want to ask you guys. Duke is a 4-loss team right now. 1 loss in the ACC, okay? So they're in the mix. SMU still in the mix. There is a world where a 4-loss Duke can win the ACC. Does a 4-loss Duke make it over? And you brought this. We talked about this off the pod here.
Yeah.
Do they get in over, let's say, 12-1 JMU? We're already putting the American Conference champion in there. I'm already putting USF or whoever else, whoever it might be that wins the conference, not Conference USA, excuse me, the AAC, the American. Do they get in over that? Because if there's a 4-loss team, do they deserve to be in? What's Duke's best win? At that point, just saying, what do you guys think of that? Is there a chance the ACC doesn't get one?
Yeah, so listen, I'm all in on Duke's for Duke. And like I said, I can't claim that. I saw it on Twitter. The JMU Duke rooting for Duke to win the ACC, because I do think as long as JMU runs the table, and then whoever wins the American Conference, whether it's USF or my fellas over there at North Texas, whomever that may be, I think the Americans getting in. And then if Duke wins the ACC, which is possible, then I do think there's a world where they leave the ACC out and they let JMU get in there, because Duke's unranked right now. They're not ranked, and I don't think Duke is even receiving votes at this point. And I think the only ranked team that they have left is Virginia. And correct me if I'm wrong, Virginia hasn't looked good in 6 weeks. Like they've been due.
They're limping like Georgia Tech right now.
They're limping. They've been due for a lot.
You're ignoring they gotta go play Chapel Bill.
And they have to. Well, that's Duke. That's Duke. I was saying
talking about. Yeah.
No, I know. I was saying their best win would be.
I personally
Virginia.
don't see Duke winning the ACC. To be honest, I just don't think they could. Yeah, they could beat Virginia, but I don't know. I just feel like Virginia, North Carolina, they're probably gonna lose one of those. Even if they still make it somehow, I still like Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so I don't actually think Duke is going to do it, but I would love to see it, just because I'm okay with the ACC not getting anybody in, because that's what's crazy too, is there's not a single team, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a single team in the ACC that controls their own destiny, because nobody knows how the tiebreakers are going to play out, and they don't all play each other, so you can get a bunch of one-loss teams, and then it goes to like opponent conference record, and it gets really weird. The team that has the best chance to get in, even if they don't win the ACC, is Georgia Tech, because they can go 11-1, say they don't make the ACC championship game or don't win the ACC, and if they beat Georgia, they're probably still in, like they have a good shot. But I mean, a lot of these teams, Virginia, I think, is going to end the season unranked. Pitt is most definitely going to end the season unranked. In my opinion, Pitt is only ranked to give Notre Dame another nice little boost, because I have absolutely no idea why they're in the top 25. Their best win is Florida State, who's abysmal. And so the ACC is in a tough spot. And honestly, Kreitz, you and I had this conversation the other day. I've been seeing a bunch of people online now. There's always something wrong with the rankings, but now they're starting to question, should conferences get auto bids and this and that. I like the auto bids, especially since they switched up how they do the top 4. But now I'm kind of in a spot where, you know what, the ACC is terrible right now, and they should not get an automatic bid. So I'd like to see.
Well, and that's the conversation, which is it's worth having, because I think people automatically assume, well, they're a Power 4 conference. If they're not a top 5 conference winner, right? We know the SEC is going to be one. We know the Big Ten is going to be one. At this point, with the teams that are ranked, we know the Big 12 is going to be one as well. We don't know that with the ACC. That's not a guarantee. The American has a better shot, in my opinion. That's more top heavy. And then if JMU's 12-1, maybe they get in over the ACC team that doesn't deserve it. Because I don't think Miami, who I think a lot of people in the committee would want them in there, hence why we see them at 15, and they moved up 3 spots after they beat Syracuse, who's been dead for weeks, injured and dead at home. And, I just think that's interesting how they moved them up. And I know that was the team we had a question about. We were wondering what the committee was doing with them specifically. But I don't know. I just wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I think the ACC will get one, but I don't know who that is. Georgia Tech would be my guess, sure. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the reason we're seeing Miami up that high still is probably just, honestly, that might just be the committee telling us, like, look, ACC team's going to get in. Like, ACC champion's going to get in. But who knows?
The thing
we'll
is,
see.
You're right. Like, I see what you're saying, but they're not even going to – they have such a hard – I don't even know how possible it is for them to win the ACC championship. I see what you mean by that, like giving it that kind of elevation. Is that what you kind of mean by that?
Yeah, like because they're gonna be. I mean, if Duke makes the ACC championship game, they're probably gonna be playing one of those teams who's probably gonna be ranked relatively this high still, and so maybe that's how they justify putting Duke in there still, or the ACC champion.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I think they've done that a couple times. I brought it up. They kind of stockpiled a bunch of Big Ten teams in that like 20 to 25 region. I mean, because they're waiting for one of them to kind of blow up and you get that fourth team in. I think they did that with the ACC too, is they didn't know who it was going to be. And so they placed a bunch of them in this 10 to 20 region, which is fair. Like you said, Christ, I think Georgia Tech is probably the most likely answer because they play Boston College, they play Pitt, and then Georgia's not even a conference game, obviously.
Yeah.
So like they have the best shot. But if it's not Georgia Tech, because I do actually respect them, and you've been high on them for a minute, I respect Georgia Tech. If it's not them, or even Miami, I guess, but if it's not one of them, I'd rather just see somebody else in it because I don't need to see like SMU what they did last
I
year.
do want to say to Duke's credit, this has been a running theme, especially this season. The ESPN matchup predictor does
All
have
right,
Duke
let's hear it.
winning this weekend.
Has Duke winning?
They have Duke beating Virginia this weekend. 60%.
Yeah, and I believe
40%.
that's doable. They could. That's why I'm bringing them in the conversation. There's 7 teams that are still alive, and it's right here. Georgia Tech, who's 5-1 in conference, 8-1 overall. They get to play Georgia at the end of the year, as we know. Virginia, who is 8-2 overall, but they're 5-1. There's 4 5-1 teams. It's Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU. 4-1 is Duke, whose record is 5-4. And then Louisville lost a second game. That's the thing, is Louisville had some life. They beat Miami. They're 4-2. And then Miami currently, which has 3 games left, or do they have 4 games left? They have only 3 games left. Excuse me.
They have 3 games left. They just only play 3 conference.
They're 3-2 because Louisville. Yeah, I was mixing up because Louisville has not a conference game. That's why they're 4-2. 3-2 for Miami, who's still technically alive. So I mean, I don't know, fellas. Stu, if you want to, I shot that over to you. I don't know how easy it is. If not, I can just read it off. I emailed you the outlook of what the bracket looks like. I want to get into that real quick because that's where Miami comes into this. I sent you an image of that. While he's pulling that up, number 1 we know is Ohio State. No problem with that. Number 2 is Indiana. They eke it out. That was a fantastic, and I know we'll probably this is alluding to maybe Dak's Dawg. That was we watched that. That was one of the best catches we've ever seen by that Omar Cooper kid. What a grab by him to elevate, put his foot down, the one that had momentum up, and then get the one back down. I mean, that was a fantastic touchdown. Penn State. What is it? Is it Terry? What's the Frank Terry? What's the guy's name? God bless him. The interim coach did not secure himself an interview the way he managed that clock. Oh my gosh, that was a fireable offense. I mean,
Terry Smith.
Thank you, Frank. I mixed the 2. I think yours is Frank, right? What is it, Frank?
Frank Wilson. Put some
I mixed the 2. I mixed the 2 in.
Come on.
Yeah, my bad. That man. They get a first down. They have a timeout, and I'm like, are they going to spike it? They're almost to the 50. No, we're gonna use the timeout now with 20 seconds left. After we just got the first down. All right, nothing. They don't even get a shot at clicking a field goal to tie the game. Unbelievable malpractice by him in that regard. All right, Indiana stays at 2. A&M gets a win at Missouri. I'll say this with A&M. They look good, and they have a sexy resume to an extent. I mean, a lot of these teams aren't ranked now. Marcel Reed's playing great football, but that defense a little leaky. I'm nitpicking a little leaky.
200 rushing yards, and Mizzou doesn't have a quarterback.
They have Hardy, obviously. Thank you, Stu. Appreciate that.
They do, but they had another guy run for 100 as well.
And then Alabama sits there at 4. Yeah, you're totally right, though, Dak. And this is what I want to bring up, all right? Before we get into the matchups of this week, I want to bring this up real quick. If you don't mind going up top, Stu. Yeah, that's fine. All right, we'll start off actually at Georgia. I'll make you go down, my bad. Georgia and USF. So that's the American Conference champion. I have the spreads all on these, hypothetically, already. Do you want to take a stab at the spreads, fellas? What would the spread be? Athens, Georgia, USF going to Georgia.
Oh, I like this. This is good.
I'm going to say Georgia 21.5.
All right.
Georgia 20.5, Georgia.
Yeah, I lean that direction at first. I think because it's a playoff game, they'll give USF a little something. I'm going to go Georgia 18.5.
Yeah, 17.5 is where they have it. All right. Good guesses, though.
Thinking. All right. Yep.
Now we're going to Lubbock, which I love this matchup. If it was real, it's probably not going to be real, but could you imagine Miami
This would
fans
be
going
so
to Lubbock,
fun.
Texas?
Oh, my God.
Hilarious.
Yep.
Tech hosting Miami. What do you guys got?
Texas Tech at home in Lubbock. I'm
Yes.
saying they're favored. If Miami actually gets in at this point, I'm going to go Texas Tech 4.5.
Okay. Stu, you got a guess?
I'm gonna go Texas Tech 6.5.
Right in the middle, 5.5. So good guess.
All right.
The tortillas are tossed in Lubbock, Texas that night. All right, we'll go to Ole Miss, Oxford. This would be amazing. Oxford, Mississippi, an SEC matchup we have not seen yet since Texas has joined. Lane Kiffin hosting his buddy, old pal, Sarkisian. What is the spread in Oxford, Mississippi? Ole Miss,
I'm
Texas.
going. This is about as close to a pick 'em as you can possibly get. I kind of thought about giving Texas the nod here. I'll go Ole Miss by 1.5.
Okay. Stu.
I'm gonna go Ole Miss 2.5.
It's actually 4.5. Ole Miss.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. This weekend is getting closer to 5.5, just for reference here for Georgia. So just note that. It opened at about 4, and I think now it's closer to 5, 5.5. And then the last one, Oregon in Autzen, hosting Notre Dame. Dante Moore, CJ Carr, pride and joy of Michigan, baby. Shout out.
Yeah, this is tough. I feel like neutral site, they would have Notre Dame favored in this game.
Okay.
Because it's in Autzen, I'm going to go Oregon minus 2.5.
Okay. Stu?
I'm gonna say the same thing. I think this is pretty much a pick 'em.
Damn near 1.5.
Oregon.
Point and a half. So you guys are good guesses overall there. Good guesses overall.
I'm a little surprised they have Ole Miss at 4.5. Kind of deservedly so. They've looked much better than Texas has this year. I'm just thinking if Texas were to get in, still not a lot, but a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Georgia game is going to tell a lot, right? If they come out of Athens with a win, totally different. All right. Guys, good with the matchups now for this week? We'll get into that real quick, and then I want to get into this so we save some great time for our – we took some time thinking of this, fellas. This was a good idea Stu brought up. I've been thinking about doing this for a while because I actually had a debate recently at my work with intern Luke, the Buckeye. Shout out intern Luke. And he disagreed with me in a few of these, but go ahead.
I was gonna say too. I don't think we mentioned it earlier on, but so we're each gonna give our own list, and then we gave some criteria to ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, I brought that up. You'll show the criteria.
Yeah, we're gonna show the ChatGPT rankings too, and then anyone watching, it's one thing if you're listening on Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment whose list is best. You could also vote for ChatGPT if theirs is the best.
Okay, hell yeah. The bot. Great. We'll throw them in the mix. They're the fourth one of the mix. All right. So matchups, fellas. Really 4 big matchups, I'd say. Maybe I'm missing 1 or 2. You guys can fill me in here. Texas going to Georgia, as we mentioned. 5.5 point spread. And I'll tell you what, fellas, I'll kick it off as I've been previewing this game all week. It's the first time, I think, on Texas radio that I've been on with Aaron Hogan. So the last 2 years, because Texas has been pretty good. I will be openly picking, because we have to pick. I think I'm picking Georgia. I do. I think Texas is healthy. I think Arch is in a stride. I don't think Georgia is as good, clearly, especially on the defensive side of the ball as they've been in the past. They both can win in, kind of this chaotic time where they're losing, especially on the road for Texas, even though it hasn't been in Athens. I think that's the difference maker, though. It's in Athens. And I need to see it out of Texas before I believe it. Not saying they can't win. I'm going with the Bulldogs here. I don't like the 5.5. I think it'll be closer than that. If I had to take the points, I would for Texas. That's how close I think it'll be. I got to see it. That's been their boogeyman. I know it's only been 2 games, but one was in Austin. The other one was in the SEC championship. I think Gunnar Stockton, I don't know if he's amazing. They're very similar. Like Arch and him, stat comparison wise, kind of what they are. They play similar game now, and I think Arch is getting better, sure, and they had some rest. But dude, they play bad on the road. Maybe he'll get better. I mean, this is their last road game technically. I just think Georgia's going to get this one done. That's my opinion.
Did E take Texas?
Oh, he's been glazing. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know what he has yet, but
Yeah.
I've made my decision this week is I just don't know. I just don't.
Yeah.
They can, sure, but I'm not this one. I'm not doing it.
No,
This one.
I
I think
agree.
they're gonna.
I agree.
I thought
think
you were going to
A&M's
say
more
this
of a
was
doable game. A&M at home, and A&M's probably 11-0.
well, that one I think they will win. Yeah.
South Carolina and
Dang.
Stanford is who they play. So they'll probably be 11-0. I still think Texas can win that game easily. Not easily. I don't want to say that. That's disrespectful. But I think they got that one over Georgia. I'm going to go with Kirby Smart.
Are you taking the Georgia 5.5?
No, I just said I'd take the points, if anything.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm taking
that's
Georgia.
fair.
I honestly think Georgia's going to handle this one, to be honest. I think this is kind of – I do think Texas is good, but I think this is kind of a back-to-earth one after shooting way up to number 10 in these first two rankings. So I think Georgia's going to win. I'll take Georgia minus 5.5. And like Dag was saying, I actually like Texas to win a weird one against A&M last game of the season.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough because I would say both Georgia and Texas, I think they've both yet to play their best football this season. Based on how talented both teams are. I don't think they've fully played up to both their potentials. This has just been like games like this. It's been the spots where Texas just can't get it done. They haven't gotten it done, whether it's Final Four in a playoff game or SEC championship game like last year, or even when they played Georgia last year. This is kind of like it feels like this is the hump that Sarkisian has to get over. And if you look at the other side, this is exactly what Kirby does. Like these are the games where he goes in. You got to win. If you win this one, you're in the playoffs, guaranteed. You win this one and you're in. You don't have to think about anything else. That's what makes me think Georgia's actually going to go in and get it done. Although I think Texas, they're playing better than what they were at the start of the year. Or like you mentioned, Arch looks better. They look better. I think I would ride the same side as you. Like I'm going to take Georgia to win it, but I think they win it by like 3 or 4. It comes down to just like a final possession or a big stop, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I'm with you with that just because, they've played such close games. They've been down Georgia at halftime in 4 games. They're not what they like that defense we've seen, obviously, when they're winning national championships. I mean, their 2 edges went in the first round. We know Starks is also a guy, and their secondary is gone. That Zachariah Branch addition was huge for them. They have a guy now, because last year they didn't have really a receiver that was that guy. Brock Bowers was gone, obviously, at that point, and they just didn't have a guy like that. And Zachariah Branch has been their guy. I think a night game in Athens, tough environment, obviously. I think Arch is playing a lot better football, no doubt. But you're right. Go back to your point. Sark, let me ask this. What game has Sark won? And there is one that comes to mind, but it's been a minute, that Sark won that he wasn't supposed to.
It's the one that you're thinking of. It was against Alabama early on.
On the road. That was it.
That's the only
last one.
And everybody kind of hangs their hat on that. Like that's absolutely like they were very close against Washington in the playoffs. They were very close. They were very close against Ohio State. They were also really close to losing to Arizona State. They were really close to losing to Clemson last year, and they really did get
no, they weren't. They were not.
Clemson.
No,
it was a possession. No,
at the end, it was kind of like Vanderbilt. Not really. Like it was.
But
they played a great game. That defense was letting up every drive. But I get what you're saying. Closer. The Arizona State game for sure. They could have lost that easily. Fourth and whatever it was, 13.
Yeah, went to overtime. Yeah,
they should have lost that game.
They should have lost the game. It went to overtime. But either way, they've been close to losing some of those games, close to winning some of them. But they kind of got their doors kicked in against Georgia both times when they played them last year. And so the only one, and the one that he's kind of been riding, has just been that Alabama win. And that's when Alabama could not figure it out. They almost lost to USF the week after, right after. And so that's really the only big win I can think of.
Well, I think he said big wins, but games that he wasn't supposed to win.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
I think because of the lack of an explosive offense from Texas, it's looked better as of recently, but like just
Wingo's been better.
It just hasn't felt like a Sark offense though this season. Like it hasn't felt Texas just hasn't felt the same because their offense isn't humming like it has in the past couple of years. So I don't know. It's just Georgia defense isn't the same either. But yeah, it's really hard for me to imagine Texas winning this game.
Yep. All right, we'll get to the next one in the SEC, big one. OU fighting for life. Also, it's so log jammed when it comes to the SEC. You know, there's teams that are all alive from obviously Alabama, A&M, Ole Miss. The list goes on. Texas being one of them. Georgia, Vanderbilt's still technically alive. I think even if they went out, they might be on the outside looking in just because there's so many good teams in the SEC. And I'm probably forgetting somebody. Oklahoma, obviously, Alabama. Oklahoma going to Alabama, I believe it's 6.5, maybe 6 by now.
5.5 is what ESPN has.
Yeah, I'll go Bama here. I think Bama is just the better team. I'll just leave it at that. I think they're better.
Yeah,
team.
I'm going. I would go Bama to cover. I think it's going to be almost exactly the same as when they played LSU. Ty Simpson is just. I know it's not Saban now. Ty Simpson is just the perfect Saban quarterback. They play really good defense, and he doesn't make mistakes. And they slowly move the ball down the field. They don't put up 40 points a game, obviously, but he just plays a really good, clean brand of football, and they have a good defense. And I think that's what they're going to do against Oklahoma. Similar.
Ty was there his freshman year, right? Saban was there with Ty, right? Ty was recruited by Saban.
Yeah. Ty was recruited.
Yeah, I'm going Alabama to cover as well. I think this and Texas, Georgia is going to be very similar games, I think.
Yep.
Notre Dame and Pitt, that's where game day is. I do think you brought it up, maybe a little McAfee to that. And if Notre Dame loses, I will say this, they're out. They have to be out at 9-3. They don't have a good enough win. Their best win right now is USC. Sure, they have good losses, but what matters are good wins. I don't know what the spread is, and I don't really care. And apparently Pat Narduzzi doesn't care. Yeah, and Pat Narduzzi doesn't care either. Did you see that video? Pat Narduzzi said we could lose this game 100 and whatever to nothing, and I just care more about winning the next games because they're actual ACC games. Now, that is a bizarre comment to make. Yeah. Bizarre. How would you feel in the locker room at that point? What, are you just giving up? Like, what is that?
No, that's weird. And it's almost like you're openly saying we're not game planning for this one. Like, we're already looking ahead. I mean, obviously, I get what he's saying. Doesn't matter because the ACC is wide open. You just got to
I don't know. We're talking about why it might matter.
That's true. That's actually true because you could. Yeah, no. Actually, yeah, that was a bad point because you could, in theory, they could win out in the ACC, not go to the ACC championship game. But if you got to win against Notre Dame, only 2 losses. Right. Who knows? So it could matter, but that's just that's a weird comment. That's bizarre. Something you can't say. But regardless, I think they're going to get the doors blown off them. Either way, like I don't think it really mattered.
To his credit, though, it is true. The games that follow after this one do technically mean more in terms of getting into the playoffs. I think.
You don't say that as a coach, Stu. Like, that's true. That's true.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
You don't say that out loud, like to the media.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You're right, but like,
yeah,
that's weird.
I'm just saying he's right. I'm not saying it was a good thing to say. But I get his point on that though.
Kind of hilarious though.
What do you got, Stu?
Are you going Notre Dame? 12.5?
Yeah, I got Notre Dame. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can oddly see it though being a close one. I could see this.
It's away, maybe.
Yeah, I could see this being like a 10-point win for Notre Dame.
Their quarterback's pretty good. I know that. All right.
Maybe a backdoor cover from Pitt. Fun fact, I will say this real quick about Pitt too. Anyone out there who also plays NCAA Dynasty mode, you should be well aware that in 25 and NCAA 26, if you played more than 2 seasons in Dynasty mode, Pitt will be the #1 team in the country at the end of those 2 seasons. They're
a unit. I don't know what it is.
It's no matter what. One of those guys that made that game probably did that.
It has to be. Anytime you run a dynasty, it's Narduzzi through the whole thing, and then they'll get another coach. They don't win a lot of championships, but they go 12-0 or 11-1 every single time without failure. It's ridiculous. We start scheduling them just to kick the shit out of them because it's annoying. Yeah, seriously.
That's wild. All right, last one, Stu. I mean, I'm good on the Wolverines at Wrigley, unless you got a hot take about that one, fellas. It would be.
What are you taking? Briefly on it, real quick. I'll touch
Yeah,
Sure, the
briefly on
floor is
it.
yours.
Yeah, let's. It's been a minute since we had a little Michigan talk in here. I think we need to
No, let's
talk
do it.
about the
Why not?
state of the
No, yeah, do it.
program as we're getting ready for Ohio State.
Okay.
So, if you remember last year, when Michigan miraculously beat Ohio State at the end of the season, the game they played where they started looking like, oh, they're actually looking all right here, was against Northwestern. It was actually right after Bryce Underwood decommitted from LSU and committed to Michigan, and Michigan went out and I think they scored like 50 or high 40s on Northwestern. And the momentum from that game, in my opinion, is kind of what carried them into Ohio State to win that game. So I think this is a huge game for the Wolverines coming off of a bye week. The spread right now is Michigan 11.5. I like the Wolverines to win by at least 2 touchdowns here in this game. I think
Okay.
we're gonna see we're gonna see a lot of Bryce Underwood with a lot of Bryce with the legs this game. I think Jordan Marshall is gonna again have another 100-yard game. And yeah, I expect things to look a lot more polished. We talked briefly about the Purdue game. That game really shouldn't have been as close as it was. It was the red zone troubles and against Michigan State, the red zone troubles that killed them and kept those games from looking like what they really should have been. So I'm expecting that to be cleaned up, better performance. I like Michigan by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, I have a couple questions. First off, was the Bryce Underwood piece necessary? I don't know. Feel free to answer that yourself. It's all right.
It's
Number
true.
two. Did you see the Sherrone Moore press conference, or
It's
as Brett called him,
Sharon
Sherron?
until proven
The
otherwise.
Sherrone Moore press
Thank
conference,
you.
where he said he tries to call Saban every couple of months or so to talk to him, and he goes, Saban, whenever I talk to him, it sounds like he doesn't really want to talk to me. But once I get him to loosen up, he gives some really good insight. What's he doing calling Nick Saban? What sort of relationship?
I think he
do
only
they have?
talked to him. I think you got this wrong. Did you watch the video? I'll be Stu Vereen here. Did you watch the
Oh,
video?
my bad. I just saw
I
the.
didn't- I didn't watch
I
it,
watched
no.
the video. All right, I watched the video.
I
He
saw the
said
clip, and he said
called-
he calls Jimmy sometimes, and
maybe that. I don't know. The video
Yeah.
was a question about that. Biff Poggi got on the horn with him because Biff's tight with him. He's coached with him, right?
Okay.
And
Hmm.
there is some truth to what you said, but it's not numerous times. So what happened was when he took over the job at Michigan, Saban's like, I didn't like the way you guys were in motion every play when we played you. It like bothered him. He goes, well, thank you, coach. Appreciate it. Kind of thing. That's all that was said. I don't think he calls him numerous times. It was
he
brought
said,
up once that
"Wait, did you see the video?"
I watched the video, Dak. I'm telling
Yeah,
you what
he
in the
said
video.
he's like, I try to call Saban every couple months, and to talk to him.
Maybe I didn't see the full thing. I think that was the one conversation they've had, or maybe a couple. I'd call Saban if I'm him. He should call Saban. I'm getting sick of it.
I'm happy he's calling Saban.
Yeah, call Saban.
Probably
'cause
needs to
we
call
need
him
help.
more often. I would call him. I would change that every couple months to every couple weeks if I was Sherrone Moore.
Yeah, we need Saban's input, and I don't know if he wants to give it, but all right, let's move on before I make this whole
I just thought it was a weird press con. It was just a little odd.
He's had a lot of those.
It was a little odd. Yeah.
Wearing his blue collar jacket again. Yeah,
He was. Yeah, it looked like it.
Why don't you focus on scoring more against Purdue? That's what I have to say. But you know what? It's all in front of them. If they win out, they have a shot at the playoffs. Not guaranteed, which is kind of crazy, but I think they have a good shot. And you can never take it away from them after last year. I cannot take out the possibility they can beat Ohio State.
They got a chance.
You just can't. You can't take that away. So, all right. Last game, and then let's get into this because I'm super excited to get into our top 10, fellas. Iowa, USC. I'm feeling USC in the Coliseum. You guys like anything else there?
No, I'm going USC. I think the committee with Iowa being at 21, it's sort of you made your bed, you got to lie in it now. They didn't really have any business being ranked last week. It was more so because they had a good loss to Indiana.
Yes.
That was about it.
Yes, correct. That's what it was. Right.
And then now you lose to Oregon in a 2-point game. Can you really drop them out of the rankings? You can't really. But I'm going USC all day.
What's the spread, Stu? Do you know?
Let me see.
Also, you know what, dude? I would like to
touchdown or in some change, maybe.
I would like to say too, I would absolutely love it if USC could just figure it out on a consistent basis. Because I watched them play Northwestern, and it is just like a classic Lincoln Riley offense where they're extremely fun to watch. They just get the ball to Jacoby Lane, who's incredible, Makai Lemon, who's awesome. What's their running back, King Miller or something? They just
the walk on.
Those are the only 3 guys that get the rock to. They're all electric. That offense is great, but their defense just still
tight
can't.
ends too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
dude, their
Their tight
defense
ends
just
are
still
insane.
can't consistently get stops, and they still can't like really win a big game on a consistent basis. But it would be so cool if they could just figure it out and they were awesome one year. Like I really would like to see it.
It's USC 6.5, by the way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Spread. And
Yeah.
I will take USC. I don't know if I'm going to take them to cover, but I'll go USC to win the game.
Sure.
Their offense is sick, but Oregon's offense pretty good too. And I will give it was raining and it was in Iowa, but I just don't.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still an Iowa defense though.
There is one more big game because I saw something earlier. I got to pull this up. TCU versus BYU is a big game for a very specific reason. There's a tweet sent out earlier. Big Cat quote tweeted it. I suppose this is probably a BYU fan. They said, "I will tase my balls if BCU beats BYU." And so some pretty high stakes compared to some of those other games, at least for that guy. There is.
I feel like people have tweeted that, the burrito guy with the burrito
guy, yeah. It's a little overdone now, but tase my balls I thought was pretty funny. And I could actually see him doing it.
Yeah, clip that one, Stu. Just tase my balls. You can clip me now, damn
balls.
it. Yeah, I just got to clip myself. All right, I'm going to grab a beer, fellas. I think we kick this thing off.
Let's do it.
Maybe, Stu, you do the old, I don't know, do we want to just do a wheel of who gets to pick first kind of thing? I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, and ultimately, but whatever.
We can do a wheel of reveal, and I'm going to pee as well.
Yeah, go ahead and take your lead, fellas. I will talk the people through what we're going to do to decide the order here.
Yeah, please.
What I'm thinking is let's pull up the wheel of college football teams just to make it a little fun. And basically, we guess a conference. First one to guess the conference of the team the wheel lands on, you'd go first.
Are we doing – so my question is because it's so many teams to break down. Do we want to – and I'm fine either way. Do we want to do – maybe this is an off-air conversation, but whatever. Do we want to do 1 through 10? Each person rips their 1 through 10, or we all go, here's our 1, here's our 2, here's our 3?
Let's do each person rips their 1 through 10 just to knock them out. Wow. And then we could talk about the differences, and then we can look at the ChatGPT list after.
All right, bet.
Yeah. So I have a feeling they're going to be pretty similar, just a few differences here and there, I imagine. All right. Actually, I'm just going to do a normal wheel instead of a wheel of college football teams.
I'd like to give a little breaking news. The Detroit Pistons are destroying the Chicago Bulls with our
Dude, I can't believe it.
We're up by 20. Yeah.
Good.
We have currently I think it's 6 or 7. I think it's actually 7 of our 8 to 9 rotation players out right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
He did it. I don't know, man. Come on.
I know.
He did it. Don't get mad.
All right. I'm going to share the screen. He's not with the kids. He's not with the kids.
He's not with the kids.
Yeah. No, I'm not with the kids.
Right. All right.
We're going to find out who's going first.
That ad is crazy.
I know. Wicked. Are you guys seeing Wicked too?
No, you saw Wicked 1.
I was going to say, I'm not seeing it, but I know you are.
So you're the one who saw Wicked 1.
Well, you gotta see how it closes out. Like if you see the first one, you know what I mean?
I'm good on that.
Okay. All right.
So we'll go Bright Stack, and then I'll follow us up, and then we will bring on ChatGPT, a new guest.
Let me make sure I got 10. 1, 2, 3. I don't like my.
All right, Kreitz. Let's hear it.
All right, I'm just gonna go 1 down to 10. All right.
Okay.
All right.
For me, cover this team. I just think it's the NIL era. Stu, you want to show the criteria, or are you gonna show it after too?
I'll show it after too.
Okay. It
Yeah,
encompasses everything.
yeah.
To me,
It does.
it's about buying. Like it's about there's history involved.
Because
You know,
us
your
three might
stadium,
weigh it a little different.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just looked at this like this. If I'm a college football coach and I wanted a job somewhere, and obviously there's things that matter more to people, just their personalities or whatever it might be, what they appreciate. Resources, this is in no order. Fan base, tradition, location, stadium, facilities, boosters, fan base. I mean, everything. It encompasses everything. NFL pipeline, everything. I'm going to go with Texas number 1. I would say Texas wouldn't be number 1 until they went to the SEC. And we're in an NIL era where Texas is loaded. They have billionaires that are alumni, 100,000 person stadium. Sure, they're maybe when it comes to tradition, they're not the winningest program, obviously, but they still are a blue blood with championships. They won in 2005. They've been to 2 back-to-back playoffs in the semifinals. They're geez. The pipeline is pause. The pipeline for the NFL is there. I think location, Texas is one of the best places to recruit. And I think it being in the SEC now, when they were in the Big 12, that was what was holding them back in my eyes. Obviously, when you're recruiting top recruits, they want to go play against Georgia like this weekend. They want to go play against LSU, which they'll be doing the next couple of years. They want to play against the big teams, Alabama, not Kansas State and, Oklahoma State at the time, right? So I'm going to go Texas. Resources, academics, even in there, if you want to include that. I don't really put that too high. Resources, NIL, uniforms are great too. I love these uniforms. But Texas is my number 1.
That's a great pick. Considered them for 1. I guess we'll see if I put them at 1.
You do.
Are we going each one at a time, or are you going full list?
No, Kreitz is ripping his full 10.
Okay.
I'm doing my 10.
Yeah, we'll see mine when we get to Texas. I will say they are
I
not
like the pick, though.
near number 1.
That's very fair.
But
they're not near number 1?
I see the vision. No. But I see the vision, but no. I don't have them in my top 5.
I got to before you continue. I like Stu. Your list is the one I'm so excited for. Once you said you went,
I figured.
You said you went purely off of tradition.
I didn't.
Oh well, if you went off tradition,
not tradition. Sorry,
I didn't go
recency bias.
To clarify for the people, so when we had ChatGPT make the list, and I'll share it later, there's like 6 different factors, and we kind of weighted them like percentage for how much to consider each of the different factors. Obviously, for all of our lists, they're going to be a little different. If I was going if NIL was the biggest factor for me, or like modern era was the biggest factor for me, yeah, Texas is a great job.
It's a job today. That's what I look at it. Right?
Yeah, I would have them top 3 for sure. To me, personally, it's not, because I don't know. I don't have NIL and location as the biggest factors for me. But yeah, that's why
I'll go this. My biggest factor right now: NIL, conference, tradition, and recruiting. And they're number 3 in recruiting for the last few years. They've been able to do it. So this is the reason why they're number 1 for me. I think recruiting is huge here, and that's why my list is the way it is. Georgia is my number 2. The Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah, this one has been tough, because between 2 and 3, I'll tell you what my 3 is. It's Ohio State. Ohio State's my number 3.
Okay.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia has won recently. Georgia has a lot of buy-in recently from their NIL. Georgia is, in my opinion, that and Florida, the 2 best places to recruit in football. I think we're just seeing the best athletes come out of there. Georgia, like I said, the winnings there. They're in the SEC. Here's the thing with Ohio State and why they're my number 3 and not number 2. Ohio State, big brand, fantastic. They have buy-in. They're the kings of the North, essentially, right? Like, as of right now, in the Big Ten, you think of them, then probably Michigan, right? For the time being, right? Ohio State really hasn't had any bad years. There was one bad year with Luke Fickell, but even in history, they really have never been bad. There's a few years you can point at where they weren't great, but they've always been consistently good, producing NFL players. I think today I picked Georgia because Ohio State has one thing, and we know this on this show, on our channel. If you lose to Michigan at Ohio State, that hangs over your head. And they have. And they won a national championship, yet they still go, well, they lost to Ohio, they lost to Michigan. Georgia doesn't have that. They don't. And I think that is a big factor in this is the Ohio State job. Yes, there's pressure at all these jobs, but at Ohio State, you're a national brand. 100%. You produce a ton of NFL talent. All this, you have NIL, you have the Big Ten is yours, blah, blah, blah. Georgia, I'm going to go with they don't have that. And also, I think it is big, guys. Like, there's a lot of great players that are not in the South, but most of the best players in football are in the South. And I think being close to proximity to home, also, Texas is a little bit of why I do this, is guys that are Southern that play football, they don't really want to go up and play in the cold. Not as much as it would be. So I'm going to go with Georgia here. I gave my explanation for Ohio State. Great program. They're my number 3. And number 4, I'm going to go with the LSU Tigers.
There we go.
4. Now, right now, I wouldn't put them at 4. They got to figure out what the hell's going on. But like Ohio State, another factor for Ohio State I'll throw into this, you grow up in Ohio or you grow up in Louisiana, which produces a lot of great football talent. Yeah. That's where you want to play. You want to be a Buckeye or you want to be a Tiger. And those are 2 of the best states when it comes to recruiting. Per capita, LSU kills it by a landslide. They have the most NFL talent per capita by any state. LSU resource-wise doesn't have any of those top 3. I don't want to say any. There isn't that many billionaires that went to LSU. Obviously, you have the Canes guy, right? But you can't produce billionaires, and that's part of why my list is the way it is. Some teams in it, some teams not. LSU is special. I've been down there with Dak. It is a tradition. It's past tradition. It is a culture. They're a culture. And I think LSU is a fantastic job. Now, you got to get your shit straight, no doubt about it. But it's a place where 3 coaches have won in this century, and you clearly can win there. So all the places we in our lifetime, I just listed, have all won in our lifetime championships. So I'll note that as well as more of my fuel to my fire. Alabama is my number 5. Alabama. Reason I don't have them higher is resources. Again, kind of the same conversation as you can't produce billionaires out of nowhere. Nick Saban set the bar as high as possible, but it's Alabama. They have traditional winning. It means a whole lot, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure their team's winning. It is one of the best jobs in football. Alabama, to me, is number 5 for the reasons being they've won national championships. It's hard to fill those shoes.
Their facilities are better than anybody.
Fantastic.
Yes,
fantastic. The only place that actually is not on any of our lists, I can guarantee that has better facilities than them is actually Texas Tech.
Oh, yeah, they got a lot of money.
We're actually going to have Cody Campbell, shameless plug here, apparently on air, the multi-billionaire from Texas Tech, their big booster, on our show. So I'm very excited to talk to him about that because that's like the best facility right now in football. Apparently.
Dude, I considered putting them top 10 right now.
I did too. Alabama is my number 5. Tradition, championships, Bear Bryant, Nick Saban. Everyone's still, when you're a top recruit, that's still a place in the South you envision yourself playing. But you're in Alabama. That is the downside. It isn't a big state like Texas or even a Louisiana where you grew up. Maybe if you grew up in Alabama, most are Bama fans, but they're still Auburn they're competing with. Ohio State and LSU don't compete with anybody. Michigan, Big Stuverines is my number 6 team. Yeah, Michigan. A lot of big boosters. We saw them invest. Not finally, I don't want to say that. Harbaugh won a championship. You can say all the stallion stuff you want. It doesn't matter. He won. It happened. And that championship year, it happened legit when they were caught, quote unquote, with Sharon Moore coming in, winning those games they needed to. And they took out Nick Saban. That was his last game he coached. So I don't want to hear any of that. Michigan, as of post-COVID, belongs in this list for sure. Because pre that, there wasn't the buy-in. They were losing to Ohio State. It didn't matter as much, it felt like. And obviously the era we're living with NIL matters more. Right now you have big boosters, big donors, billionaires went to Michigan. We know what Michigan is a university and tradition and the biggest stadium. Recruiting-wise, there is people who grow up Michigan State fans, but if you're from Michigan and you want to recruit there, you want to go to Michigan, like a Bryce Underwood, obviously. $12 million or whatever he got probably helped, no doubt about it. But it doesn't have that kind of impact when it comes to recruiting like Ohio State does, but it's up there. And I think, fellas, in this current climate, the last 5 years matter a lot. Like, because kids that are getting recruited in high school, and I talk about recruiting, which Michigan's in the top 10 again, all these teams are. People remember Michigan beating Ohio State. Kids that are getting recruited in high school remember that. Don't remember as much. They know what Connor Stalions is, but they also remember them winning a championship. So Michigan is my number 6. Now, number 7 is not a blue blood. Every team I've listed there is a blue blood, undebatably. It's not a blue blood. It's Oregon, the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
Oregon's my 7.
Great pick.
Nike University. They have taken over California. The West Coast is theirs until other teams prove otherwise. Now, I know Washington was in the championship a couple years ago, but that man took the Alabama job, who's now on my list at 5. Oregon, Dan Lanning, Nike, they have, as the kids say, aura. They do. They have the uniforms. They have Nike. They have some of the best facilities. They recruit with the big dogs. They recruit better than, I mean, they're in the top 5 recruiting. I almost every year it feels like that West Coast is now theirs. Nobody comes from the state of Oregon unless you're Justin Herbert, but they have California. They get the kids from Arizona, and they're going into the South and poaching some of these kids last second.
And Hawaii, man. Hawaii.
And Hawaii. They're not wrong. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Hawaii's a big one. Sure. All those Samoan kids like playing there. So I'm going to go with Oregon there. Now in the Big Ten, definitely helps them. I'm telling you, man, although I don't think they're a blue blood, they haven't won a championship. Dan Lanning and Oregon, they're building something there. They're pretty damn good, and they got great players that come in and out. I mean, if you're a recruit, fellas, I think of it like this too. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go check that out? That place is sick. And now they're in the Big Ten. So here's where it gets hard. 9 and 10 for me are really tough because I'm still deciding it as we speak. After
it's impossible.
We'll go 10, 8 here. A team I don't know if you guys have on your list. Yeah, 8. I don't know if you guys have this on your list. I'm actually going with Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Tradition. The conference thing, whatever. If they're 10-2, they're in. It's a big brand. Brian Kelly was saying how tough it is to recruit there. Hasn't been hard for Marcus Freeman. He's getting top recruits. They're in a spot where they're kind of cushy. They don't have to play Ohio State every year, and they don't have to play some of these teams in the Big Ten. They went out. They were in the national championship last year. Now, it takes a specific kid to commit to Notre Dame, right? Or if you're if you're a coach, you can't just be a random guy. You know what I mean? Because there is that religious side to it. It's a Catholic school. It's in the Midwest. Like, it is a prestigious school, no doubt about it. But their resources,
like they do. They have a standard.
They care. They do care about that. But they're serious about football, clearly. They get great recruits. They get kids that want to buy into what Notre Dame Fighting Irish football is about. Marcus Freeman's a great coach there. And I just think it's a place where, hey, even Brian Kelly went to a championship. Pre all this. He did. And then you go and look at Marcus Freeman. What, year 2 or 3? He's already in one. Was that year 2? Was that right?
That was year 2, I think. Right?
Yeah, year 2, right? Yeah. No, it was year 3. It was year 3.
That was year 3. Yeah,
because this was his 4th year, like BK. Yeah. But they're getting top recruits, and they have a lot of money. They do. There's money there. It's a little more quiet, but they got money. All right, this one might be a hot take.
It gets the last couple. I think get really tough.
Let's get a little weird, and maybe it's recency bias. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Now tradition's kind of thrown out the door here. It is.
No, I know.
This is a team this year, and it's not even about this year. They have so much money. Yeah. They have great fan base, even though they're weird and it's a cult. Live with it, know it. We've lived in Texas now long enough. You know A&M people, they're strange. But if you are a guy, you go there. Maybe this is like a little bit of a different angle. I mean, who's their most famous coach? Like you can be the guy at A&M, and you can win at A&M with the resources they provide you. You're in the SEC. Location-wise, it makes sense because you can recruit all the South. They get top recruits. And I know it's not a blue blood, like a couple teams I left off here. Oklahoma is the team I just left off this list. Florida, I get it. Florida. The thing with Florida is, fellas, I don't know if they're on your list. I'll say this about Florida for me, why I'm not putting them there. You're recruiting against Miami. You're recruiting against Florida State. And you're recruiting against everybody else in the SEC. As great as the players are in Florida, that's factual. That is. And it is. I mean, I think Florida, Georgia, that region comes the best players. Texas, and then this Bayou area of Louisiana is the next batch. And some of the Midwest has really good players, and out West does too. That's like the 4 pockets, right? A&M, it's a weird place. We know that. But dude, this team right now, like they're one of these teams that can win a championship. You can win a championship at Texas A&M. Nobody's done it since whatever 39 or whatever it's been. I just feel like that's a place you can win, and the bar is not as high. And like a reason why I think, and I'm not putting Ole Miss on this list, but like a reason why, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss or Kirk Cinetti doesn't leave is kind of like that with Texas A&M, where they still are going to be a really good team. But they can win a championship. I think their ceiling is higher than a Indiana in an A&M because of the resources they have. They have billionaires. That's a cult, and there's a lot of money there.
Yeah,
and it's one of the toughest stadiums to play in. I mean, it's legit. It's legit. Number 10. It's my last one, fellas. Let me take the floor.
Yep.
I want to put Oklahoma here after I think about it, but I think I'll still go with USC.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
I will, but it's kind of funny. Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for USC, so I feel like I kind of have to do this. And he could turn it around there. It is a little harder than people think now because Oregon's been so dominant. I know they haven't won a championship yet, but they've even prior to all this NIL world happening, they still were in a championship twice, right?
I was gonna say too, if we want to talk about recruiting, USC has the number 1 class right
Right now they do. You're right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is, it's an easier sell. You're out west. I'll put USC here. You can even. I had them at 9 originally, and I threw A&M in there to be a little different. But I think it would be wrong not to keep put USC, especially now that they're in the Big Ten. I think Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma kind of speaks volumes to that. Yes, it was a lot of money. Maybe he didn't know they were going to be in the Big Ten when they left, and that Oklahoma was going to the SEC. I can't remember the timing wise. He probably heard about it. But I'll go with USC. That'll be my 10th. But yeah, A&M's my weird one. I'll be honest. I just think there's a lot of money there, and it's not all about money. There's a lot of passion there. Even though they lack the tradition, quote unquote, because they don't have the championships, that's a team that can win a championship this year. Like they have the resources. They've had the teams that have been really good that just never have done it. So that's my 10. Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Bama, Michigan, Oregon, Notre Dame, A&M, USC.
Yeah, so I'll say it right now. I don't think we were recording yet, but I said it before. I was like, there's a team that should be in my top 10 that I refuse to put in my top 10 just because I don't like them and I don't like their fan base. It's Texas A&M. Like
really?
When I was going through it,
they're not in mine either. I think my top 10 has all the same teams you just listed besides A&M. That's the only
okay. Well, that makes sense. I knew that was kind of my weird one, but you guys get my point, though, right? Like
100%. No, that was the first team.
There.
So they popped into right after. So like I'll be honest, Kreitz, you and I, we have a very similar. Our top 5 is pretty similar, just kind of different, ranked a little bit differently, and then almost the exact same through like number 8. I thought about putting Texas A&M almost over like Notre Dame at this point, and I'll get into my list obviously, but I would just with the amount of cash that they have. They have unlimited funds. It's a fantastic.
They got a fan base and buy-in. Like they have it there.
Like, they have a cult following. It's a great atmosphere. You get to recruit the state of Texas. Like it is a very, very good job. All you need is a good head. Right now, like I wouldn't even call Mike Elko a great head coach, but that's like a sound head coach to run your program. That's all you need to win it there. It's very similar to kind of what LSU has been running as well, honestly.
Yeah, I think the vision, like I don't dislike the inclusion of A&M at all. I see the vision with them for sure. They're just they didn't make mine just because in mine, I don't know. I feel like when I was making mine, as I was looking at the teams, I was like, at the end of the day, really all these teams got cash though, and
That's
all
fair.
these
That's
teams,
fair. Yeah, no, it's totally fair.
All these teams switch in and out of top 5, top 10 in recruiting rankings the last 5 years. So I definitely factor like history because it is, let's be honest, outside of a couple teams, it's a cyclical sport. The teams that are good, even when they're down, they usually come back and they end up being good again at some point. So I kind of factored a little bit more historical into mine.
That to me, Stu, is why it's hard for me to keep out Oklahoma because they're never really bad. And that's why I feel a little weird about this because I think Oklahoma probably should be in there over A&M. And that's why I want to mention them. Florida, sure, you can throw them in the mix too. But for me, it's Oklahoma, because if I'm at that job, I can still go recruit Dallas, Fort Worth, but so can A&M. Like, that's the thing. So I'll let you guys do it, though. I've talked enough. You guys go ahead with yours.
Yeah, am I going? I'm number 2 on the wheel.
I think you're 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, my rankings fairly similar to yours. I think it's tough, just like before I get into it, because you can have situations, obviously, where, you have a school where it's very easy to recruit. You have unlimited funds and it's in a great conference, but it's tough to consistently win because your conference is so tough. But you always have a chance to go win a national championship because you can put those teams together. And then you do have certain schools, we brought it up, and I'll bring them up again, like a Notre Dame, where maybe you don't get top recruits like you do at like a Texas or an LSU, but you're going to consistently win 11 games, and it's not as difficult to do that, and you're always going to punch your ticket. And then you even have some schools in there where you can win a lot of games, and the pressure's not as high, which is what makes it a great job. And so it sort of just depends, and that's what kind of why I struggle to put it together, especially now, just with the NIL era. It just adds a completely different wrinkle. But I do agree with what Stu said is eventually you get to the point where everybody's throwing cash. And so you have to try to find those little differentiators when it comes to being able to win a championship and ultimately recruit. Which
It's
is
all
right now, I'll get
subjective
to
at the end of the day too. Like we've seen,
Right.
we just saw Kurt Cincinnati sign his insane contract
Yeah, exactly.
extension with
Everyone has.
Indiana.
Everyone's
So
got cash.
Yeah.
everyone's gonna have their preferences.
Sure. Of course.
So my number 1 team, and I'm doing this based off of like today, all of these jobs open up. Which one am I taking? I don't know if this is going to be the case in 5 years or 10 years right now, but my number 1 job would still be Alabama, because I would still put that as my number 1 job. Granted, a lot of their history is built on Bear Bryant and it's built on Nick Saban and kind of some garbage in between, and we'll see what Kellen DeBoer does. But I still think you have that pipeline. You brought it up where you can recruit the South. So you get Georgia, you get Florida, you get a lot of Louisiana. I'll be honest. They get a lot of Louisiana. They have all the facilities in the world. They don't have the same resources as some of those other schools, but you do still get to pull on the fact that like, hey, we're going to get you to the NFL. And I think that's a big differentiator when it comes to recruiting. The bar is super high, which I think is that's kind of the tough part. But you can win a national championship there. It's been done before, and if you're the coach for it, I think it's still the easiest place to do it. And you're in the SEC, and if you can win the SEC, you can get it done. My number 2 is basically other side of the coin, just a different conference. It's Ohio State, because Ohio State, you brought it up, you get to recruit the state of Ohio.
Yep.
Urban Meyer, when he was there, and Ryan Day's done the same thing. They built a pipeline down to the South. You have unlimited resources. Ohio State cares just as much about football as any other school in the country. And just like point blank, keeping it frank, their schedule is never as tough as an Alabama or a Georgia. You have one daunting game at the end of the season that you have to go win each and every single year.
And sprinkle in an Oregon or a Penn State if they're better.
In Oregon or Penn State, of course.
There's like 2 to 2.5 games, really. Yeah.
Yep. You brought it up. You said the tough part is if you go lose to Michigan, it's going to hang over you, and you could potentially lose your job over it. It has shifted a little bit now because Ryan Day has obviously struggled against Michigan, but he went and won a national championship, and nobody's bringing up his job. And so in this era where obviously
again
in the media, but I disagree. The Ohio State fans
don't
on
know
Twitter
that.
seem to think otherwise.
You think if they lose, what if they lose to Michigan this year and they go win another national championship?
Literally right before we actually hopped on, I was browsing Twitter and I saw an Ohio State fan tweet, "Please just win the game this year," talking about the Michigan.
Yeah. But I do.
But that's real quick before you get into it. That's kind of the caveat here with this job is if you lose that game, this is not like any other job. They won the championship and people are still like, great, Ryan Day can stick around. He had 24-hour security at his house because he was getting death threats after they lost that game for days. Right. I mean, that's what this job is. And Michigan's Michigan's getting like they're close to that, but Ohio, we're crossing off the M's on the street signs, and it's the team up north. Like they are psychotic about it. Nick Saban's talked about
So
this.
it's a
They
lot
are
more
different breed.
mentally unstable people down there in Columbus.
Well, and also like this is no knock against Michigan, but also part of it is Ohio State went on a 20-year run basically.
They did.
So, like they're not used to.
It wasn't really thought of. Yeah.
No, it was a 20-year run where Michigan got 2 wins in between that 20-year stretch, which is the biggest part. But regardless, I don't. The rivalry is still as big as it has ever been. But it used to be you have to win that game in order to go to the playoffs, or you have to win that game to go to the BCS National Championship. You don't have to do that anymore. And like if you look at Ohio State, they're always most likely outside of Michigan or sometimes maybe Oregon going to be the most talented team in the Big Ten, and the talent that they produce at wide receiver is ridiculous. And so obviously pressure's high, but I think that gives you the best chance to. It's been shown they win 11 games more than any other school outside of Alabama under Nick Saban. They just do.
Yep.
That's my number 2. My number 3, it's extremely biased. I should maybe put my number 4 ahead of my number 3, LSU. And right now it's tainted just because of the Brian Kelly factor. But before Brian Kelly was there, when they were looking for their next head coach, a lot of people thought of it as you could make the argument for the top job or the number 2 job. Granted, it was pre-NIL. But because you get to recruit the state of Louisiana, which is extremely talented, and you don't have to compete with anybody there. You still get the East Texas pipeline, and then you also get the Florida pipeline. And they put so many guys in the NFL. They had a great staff, and you have the culture, everything built in with it. And you had 3 head coaches this century win 3 national championships.
Yeah.
So they have the second most.
Not anybody, but people can win there. That's what you're saying.
Well, so here's the thing. Les Miles could not win anywhere else except for LSU. A national championship, I'm saying. Coach O probably doesn't win a national championship anywhere else except for LSU.
Didn't come close.
No. And so that's the idea is you have all of the buy-in from the fans. You have the best atmosphere, and you got all the talent in the world to go get it done. And you can produce a magical season. Now, what they haven't done is consistently put together 10, 11 win seasons. You get a bunch of the 8 and 9 win seasons, and then it's a 2011 or a 2019. But still, even in the NIL era, Stu brought it up. Like they still have Todd Graves, who's worth $25 billion. They got a dude who started. He has a big VC firm out in California. He's worth $1 billion. Eventually, everybody's kind of paying the same amount. You have to have those little differentiators. And you got a guy in Lamar Brown who right now is the number 1 recruit in the country. Brian Kelly's gone. He's still committed. And Texas A&M's going all in at him. I bet you they offered him more money. So I still think it's a great job. And in my opinion, one of the best in the country. Number 4, I would put I'm going Texas at my number 4 spot because they have arguably the best resources in the country. You're recruiting out of the state of Texas. You have the tradition. You have the facilities. You got all the money in the world. Great stadium. Now you're in a great conference in the SEC. I think the tougher part now, though, is you have to go win the SEC, and they haven't done that yet. I know they've only been in it for a couple seasons, but they haven't won a national championship for a little while now. And so, like, I still, granted, it's not Sark's fault. I still got to go see them do that first, I think, before I put them a little bit higher. But that's a job that any single coach in the country would want. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, if LSU and Texas were both open right now, they're probably picking Texas. Like a coach is going.
Can I say one thing with Texas? Is someone?
Please do. Yeah.
You guys know. Chris Del Conte is the best AD in the country. I mean, look at every other program they have. Other program they have, they succeeded everywhere because resources are not. I mean, Austin, Texas. We live in this city. It is a great city to live in. There's no other professional sport team there's nothing. The MLS, sure, doesn't compete with it. It is a spot you want to be if you're a student. And I just think having a good AD is very, very big deal about this if you're getting hired by Chris Del Conte, best AD in the country. If someone wants to pay, it's fine. But I just think what he's done is in his time here where he had to get out of, Tom Herman, it's been unreal. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So,
Yeah, well, maybe before this year, I would have said Scott Woodward, but that would have been a bad take.
Ooh.
So yeah, but no, you're right. Consistency is huge. I think you find that at Texas, and like if a guy is
They
given,
win that Capital One College Cup every year, where they have the best college
no,
teams.
exactly, and if a coach is given enough time, I think they have a chance to win a national championship, maybe multiple national championships, and I think that's all they're missing, really. If they can just break through 1 year, then the floodgates open. LSU is more of you're going to find magic, and then it's going to go to hell in a handbasket.
Magic's the key word. Yeah,
that's it. It's just magic. Yeah.
On the AD thing, I'm not gonna say Ward Manuel is the best AD ever, but I will give him his flowers here. There was a 2-year span where Michigan football obviously won the Natty. Michigan basketball made an Elite Eight. Michigan hockey made a Frozen Four. So that's that. The Michigan Athletics
big
are pretty
sport,
good.
big name sports. They're great.
But
And so is Michigan and Texas are always.
Ward Manuel, I'm not gonna ever attest that he's the best AD in college sports, though.
Fair enough. No, Michigan is I always call Michigan the Texas. Texas is the Michigan of the South, and Michigan is the Texas of the North. They're great schools with a ton of resources, and they parallel each other. So totally have no problem with saying that. But I'll take Chris Del Conte.
I agree. I feel like both programs are super similar. Like Texas, they haven't had their recent national championship.
But they've been a game away the past 2 years. You gotta give them that.
Agreed. They've been extremely close. They built it back up.
First year in the SEC, they were in the championship game. Like A&M hasn't been once, and I threw them on this list. They haven't even been in the championship game. So I'm just gonna say that.
I agree. So that was my number 4. Yeah. My number 5. You kind of sold me on this one. And no, I had Michigan at 5. You sold me on number 5 as you were talking about it, and I thought about it more. I'm putting Georgia there.
Yeah, it's a great job.
Because it like this is what I always go back to, and I think people have gotten away from it, is like it's really, really easy to recruit in the South because so many good players come from that area. And let's say Kirby Smart departs tomorrow. He's built this well-oiled machine, and any coach would be lucky to come into that, and they have enough resources. And I do think like the expectations aren't the same as like Alabama and Ohio State, where, even what Kirby Smart's built it up to, they expect a national championship, but maybe not a national championship every single year. Like guys would have a little bit more time, right? And you're coming into a great spot. You get to recruit really well. And we've said it a lot. I feel like people have come under the impression of like, if you throw the most money at a kid, that's where they're going to go now. I think as long as you have enough cash to kind of match it to an extent and build your roster, it's more now about what are the assistant coaches that you have around you. You're going to have a great staff around you. And then, what's your reputation in order to get some guys there. And so I think that's a great job right now. And if it opened up now, like I said, if Kirby leaves 10 years down the road, that could change. But right now, I would put that on my number 5.
I will say too, in NCAA dynasty, me and Dak always say Georgia's the most coveted job.
It is hands down the most coveted job because Kirby never gets fired. Like they're good forever in it. Yeah,
they're nice. And the thing is with Georgia, it's like, dude, they can poach from Florida. The South is kind of like, okay, you're competing with Alabama, LSU, now Texas, but like Georgia Tech is not anything they worry about.
No, that's where it's very similar to Louisiana, where you're getting all of the top players from your state.
Which is great. That state, as of recently, is like with Florida and Texas. It's like, yeah.
I was gonna say Georgia, like the past 10 probably recruiting cycles. It just feels like they have like 4 of the top 5 defensive line recruits in the cycle coming out of Georgia.
Right, the D line's crazy
every time. They got freak athletes, and honestly, I think that's why my number 6 on the list is the University of Michigan, and I think that's probably why. They are
to the victors valiant.
I think that's probably why they are not higher on the list, because they have all the resources in the world. In terms of cash, they can outspend anybody if they really want to, which is something I like. You could potentially run into at some point with some of these schools. Is like you run into it with baseball. It's not like the Dodgers have that much more cash than every other team. it's other teams don't necessarily want to spend money. So you have to make sure you keep people bought in, which Michigan 1000% has right now. So they could outspend anyone they want to. They have fantastic facilities. It's great academically, and they've won a championship recently, and they've won recently, and Jimmy did build it up. But what are you really getting out of the state of Michigan when it comes to recruiting? You kind of have to dip into Ohio.
Bryce Underwood.
Bryce Underwood. That was the big one, and that's why they you had to have that one. You truthfully.
It's like a close to top 10 state, whereas the other schools you just listed, Texas, Georgia, Ohio, I guess Alabama, maybe not, but Florida, which all these teams post from, those are the hotbeds. California, which Michigan recruits too.
I would throw California in there too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, 100%. But it's a fantastic job, but the pressure is really high because now it feels like you have to beat Ohio State, which is how Sherrone Moore has kept his job. And you don't have to win a national championship right away because obviously Jimmy didn't, and he got to keep his job. It's probably a little bit different now, but you have to make the playoffs. But you're in a conference where you can do that, and you're always going to be one of the top teams. And you're always going to have all the resources you need at your disposal. And so, it's still easily a top 10 job. But I think that's the only reason why I don't put it ahead of some of the other ones is literally just the state that it's recruiting out of. And your biggest rival is just right next door, and you're sharing a pipeline, which it makes it tougher, obviously. My number, what do we got? Number 7. This is where we're the exact same. Yeah, because I think, Kreitz, you went Michigan at 6, and I'm going the same school at 7. I'm going with Oregon.
Yeah.
First school that came to mind. I think every year in, year out, they continue to climb. They're able to poach recruits and poach transfers now more than ever because you obviously you don't just have Phil Knight's own cash, but you have stuff coming straight from Nike. Stu brought it up. I'd be curious to see if any of this ever comes into play is if they start signing guys to their own shoe deals. That becomes part of the equation in order to get guys there. I could see it. And they renovate their facilities every single year. They have a chokehold on the West Coast, and they consistently win 10 games no matter what. They just haven't won it all. And if they can win it all, that's where they go to the next step because they have the cash, but they just haven't done it yet, which is why they're still at 7.
Mario Cristobal and that era of 2000.
Stupid decision.
Well, stupid decision, but he kind of helped build it. It already was built somewhat. I remember when Michigan lost to Oregon early on when they had those. I was at that game when they had those crazy jerseys with the steel. That's kind of when we started hearing about Oregon more. And then Mario Cristobal went there. He somewhat, I don't want to say built it, but helped build more of it. And then Dan Lanning's just elevated it, and it's been a match made in heaven.
Well, yeah, because it was Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, right.
Baseball.
Right, Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly went to the national championship, and they were kind of new name on the block. They had new unis every.
They got aura. They got the aura.
They just do. Yeah, because any kid that grows up playing NCAA, you play as Oregon because they have unlimited. Yeah, they got unlimited unis.
The uniforms by itself throw the facilities and everything else out the door. Uniforms, helmets on their own. You can walk into any recruit's house in the nation, and they're going to listen to you.
Agreed.
Yep. And it's a
big deal.
And that's kind of what I brought up earlier is they have the ability to outbid 95% of schools. They have a guy who desperately wants to outbid every other school. Phil Knight wants it. Phil Knight probably wants it more than any other booster in the country.
Before he croaks. I mean, the man's old.
Because he's on his final leg, and he desperately wants to see a national championship. And I'm sure he knows deep down his kids aren't going to carry the same torch unless he puts something in his will like, hey, you got to donate X amount each year. But that's a great job. I put him at 7, and I think they continue to climb every year. My number 8, I don't love putting them here, but you kind of have to because they get to make their entire schedule. They're not in a conference. They're on their own network. They have a lot of resources. They got the history, the tradition. They've been to national championships. It's Notre Dame. I think my hot take would be, I don't know if we're going to see Notre Dame actually win one for a while, but they'll always be in contention because they're going to, with this 12-team playoff, they're going to be in the playoffs, I feel like, every single year. This was, I mean, last year was the closest to them not making it because they lost to Northern Illinois early, and then they went on a run. And then now this year they lost 2 games early, and they're going to get in again. And it's very similar to some of the other schools mentioned where like you do have the tradition of like a Michigan and an Ohio State where they've won in the past. People want to go there, and it's not horribly tough to recruit there, and they have more than enough cash. And so I feel like I have to put them at 8. 9 and 10. This is also where I struggled because, like I said, I would usually I think put Texas A&M because I actually do think Texas A&M is maybe a better job, to be quite frank, than some of the other ones. But number 9, I'm just going to go USC for right now. USC, I still think it's a great position. They have a bunch of money. They haven't broke through yet, but the expectations aren't as high anymore. Like you got a little bit of leeway there. Look at Lincoln Riley. Like he's doing just fine. You got some position to lose a few games, but you can still, the state of Cal. Yeah.
Can I push back? He's doing better
it.
this year. He is. And if they end 9 and 3, okay, give him more time.
He's fine.
Right? Yeah. That's the only thing with this job. It's like, I think it's a little bit, I'm still okay with it in the top 10. There's tradition there for sure. It's just a little bit more. Now, I think because Oregon is now so in the mix, like they have kind of dominated. Like I feel very confident Oregon right now has a better job than USC, and that wasn't the case years ago, right? Like at all. So that's the only reason. And like he's doing all right, but like, are they going to make the playoffs this year? If they went out, probably. But I don't know. He just hasn't done a whole lot yet. But
I agree, and I think that's the thing. Is like they used to dominate the Pac-12, like everything was USC. And under Pete Carroll, they were winning national championships.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
Well, I think part of it too is obviously they kind of had to regrow is the tough part because they ran into all the recruiting violations. But you look back at the Pete Carroll coaching staff, you had Coach O, you had Lane Kiffin, you had I'm missing another big name on there, but Pete Carroll produced some crazy coach. Like those teams were just incredible. Obviously with Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and they kind of had to rebuild. But the brand is still big. And if you get the right coach, I think you got a good chance to go win there. And then number 10, I honestly, man,
Clay Helton. I forgot his name too. Clay Helton was the last one now.
Clay Helton. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea who I wanted to put at 10. I went back and forth basically between, I want to put a school from Florida because Florida's kind of a double-edged sword where it's a great state to recruit out of. And if you do it right, you can 100% win a national championship like Florida State did, like Florida did, and like Miami did in the 90s.
Sure. Yes.
So you have to compete against all of those schools, which is what makes it tough. I think the era that we're in, I'm currently going to say, and I don't know if they have the right coach right now. We'll find out in the next few years. I'm going Miami for right now.
Okay.
I almost lean towards like a Florida or a Florida State just because I think if you bring a recruit, say, to a Florida game, you get to go to the Swamp. That's an awesome atmosphere, and that's a super easy sell, and I think it's a cooler school. You kind of get a similar fashion with Florida State. And Florida State, you're in the ACC. It's wide open. You can go win a lot of games, even if you don't put together your best team. Miami's got a lot of funds right now, and that's just the era that we're in. Sure. They can kind of go dominate the state of Florida, at least for the next few years. And if you're the guy for the job, I think you can actually go win a national championship. How much buy-in do they have, like, from their fans in general? I don't know, because they do sometimes struggle with getting people to their games. Like that is that's a thing.
Get back to USC too. That's kind of the thing. Is like if
that's
USC
also the thing at USC.
Up. That's my USC thing that I wanted to put Oklahoma there. It's like they don't show up. They don't care.
I know.
To be fair to USC though, when they're up, it is one of the hottest tickets in town. Yeah,
it is. It's a trend. It's LA, right? But
and so that's where it's tough. Where I'd almost lean towards some of the schools we brought them up earlier, like Texas Tech. Like I thought what Texas Tech did in the offseason, I thought it would maybe blow up in their face. Turns out the team where it blew up in their face was LSU, and it's actually worked out for Texas Tech. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Those were the top 2 spending teams. And then like a Texas A&M, because like when you have fan buy-in like that, and there's nothing else going on in Lubbock, Texas, other than Texas Tech football.
It's its own state, dude. The West Texas is its own world, bro.
Dude,
Like
same
straight
with
up,
College
is own
Station.
world.
There's nothing in College Station except for Texas A&M football.
And
That's why it's such a
Houston
cool
and
town.
Austin are in an hour and a 2 hour, less than that rate. I mean, dude,
Sure.
it is 4 hours away from Dallas. Like I've been out to Lubbock once.
Lubbock,
Whoa.
yeah.
That's the downside of it. But they have so much money, it's ridiculous. And their facilities are the best, legit the best. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy.
But I mean and I think that's where I still put Miami at 10, at least for the time being.
I like it.
But I think that's
a good
where they
one to throw
struggle
in
is
there.
you're in Miami and there's a million other things that you can go do, and people don't really give a shit right now. Like they don't care that much.
Rippers and blow.
Yeah. It is it's a huge blow city. I think it's just the way that it goes. And so I still put them at 10.
I like it.
I wanted to put a Florida school, but that's my top 10, fellas. I'll read it back one more time. I went Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Texas, Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Notre Dame, USC, Miami. Are there any big pushbacks you guys have had?
Stu, do you got any? Maybe Miami. I would take Florida over Miami just because it's the SEC, but you could also argue.
Yeah.
You could also argue, well, you can win. It's easier to win the ACC. But we're on this situation currently, and maybe I'm prisoner of the moment where, well, I think an ACC team will get in. But I like the ACC sucks.
Where'd you have Alabama on yours?
I put them one. I still put them one.
One. Okay.
That'd be my pushback. My pushback's one.
I would
there
say.
Because go ahead, Stu.
I was just gonna say I think my list is a little bit more similar to yours, Dak. I think mine is a little closer to yours. Yeah. So not a lot of
my pushback with
there.
Alabama at 1. Stu, please take over. That would be the only one I push back because mine's at 5. That's where we are pretty different.
Right. Yeah.
Is, dude, you just the shoes are so big to fill there.
Mm-hmm.
And I list off all those other 4 teams, and you throw in Michigan and Oregon, they don't have the people there that have resources like that. You just don't. But you have also championships, and it is the blue blood of our era. So there's also that. But in 5 years, if they don't win a championship and Nick Saban to some of these kids is just the guy who was on game day and I don't really remember him going, then that would go to my point. But for now, I can't hate it being at 1. So I see kind of both sides here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying is like right now, I would still put that at 1 because if all the jobs were open, that's a very tough one to turn up. Despite the fact that Saban raised the bar so high, he also built it up.
Did apparently. So did Sarkisian.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
True. No. Yeah, that is true. But like I said, I think in 5 years or 10 years, it might be very different. Yeah, depending on what
right now. Does. Right.
Exactly.
I like your list.
All right, Stu, let's hear it.
Yeah, so to preface it, because my number 1 team is also Alabama. I definitely see Kreitz's point here for sure on it's huge shoes to fill. I kind of mentioned it earlier. A big factor with my list was just kind of the cyclical nature of college football. Like these teams go through phases of being up and down. The really, really good ones, Alabama, the national championships speak for it. It's just been at the top longer than a lot of other teams in college or programs in college sports. So huge shoes to fill, yeah, but it's still Alabama. I kind of said with Oregon, like uniforms alone can get you in the door of any recruit. Just being Alabama can get you in the door of any recruit. So I still got Bama number 1. Number 2, this one, a big factor in it was just how difficult is it for them, or should I say how easy is it for them to get to the college football playoff, tied in with the fact that they're a historic program. Even with they have some more strict recruiting requirements, still in the top 10 almost every year for recruiting. I got Notre Dame at number 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame at number 2. It's great helmets, great uniform package. Obviously, you got the history, tradition, and it quite frankly easiest path to the playoff every year out of any team in any of our top 10s.
Yep.
So I got Notre Dame at number 2.
I agree.
Number 3. This is the one you guys have been waiting for. We got the Michigan Wolverines at number 3.
I thought you were going to put them at, when you were building it up, I thought you were going to put them at 2. Not going to lie.
No, I got the Michigan Wolverines at number 3, and I'll just say number 4 too, because I'm just going to do the compare and contrast with them. I got Ohio State at number 4.
Nice.
You really get into it in the grand scheme of things. Michigan, A, in terms of actual wins, winningest program in college football history. B, largest stadium in college football.
Yep.
C, got the winning record all time against Ohio State. Also have the longest win streak in the whole series against Ohio State. And you won your last 4 against them. And then we've seen what they can do with NIL already. When there is someone they really want, they've shown now they're going to spend to get them. So yeah, I got Michigan number 3, Ohio State number 4. And I will say too, because there are a few SEC teams that you could toss up here that I just have Michigan, Ohio State barely above them. For me, that really just comes down to what's the harder conference to make the playoffs in right now. And the SEC, top to bottom, tougher league, tougher games, especially with this switching to 9 conference games, more of those chances to lose those tricky games, the trap games. So I'm gonna lean the Big Ten teams right now, just because you don't necessarily have to worry about like a Northwestern, Rutgers as much as you have to worry about like a Vanderbilt, or even we saw with Texas and Mississippi State.
It's a fair
So
angle.
yeah,
It's a fair angle.
Yep. I agree.
so yeah, and then I got
I
Texas at number
respect.
5. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was wrong. I do have Texas in my top 5. So Texas is my
Okay.
number 5. So it just, to me, second best job in the SEC. Kreitz said it great earlier. In terms of recruiting right now, like, great city, got just as much cash as anyone on here to throw at a guy you really, really want. Great stadium.
Right.
We live here. Austin's a great city. It's awesome. Like, if we're talking, like, if you're a coach and you're thinking, where do I want to go live and coach? This might be higher than the rest of those teams. So that's also like a very fair point
I
for
think it's
Texas at
1-1
number
of
1.
that. Like living, I think it's 1-1. Don't you? Like
It has to
even of
be.
all those
Yeah.
schools you listed, and you throw in LSU, it's like
Yeah.
I've been to Baton Rouge, I've been to Columbus, I've lived in Ann Arbor. Like
Yeah.
this is I've never been to Tuscaloosa. I'm all set, and I've been to South Bend. This is a city like that's part of it for sure. But yeah,
Because
go
like
ahead.
you don't want to go Miami, you don't want to go LA.
Yeah.
Like
I would definitely. I would say it's a big part of it, just the city in general. And that kind of ties into my Michigan above Ohio State reasoning too. I mean, I think everyone on here has been to Columbus and Ann Arbor. Obviously, we're from Ann Arbor, but I don't know. In my opinion, it's just a much nicer city to live in. Uh, Number 6, Dakbot's gonna be a big fan here. We got LSU.
there we go.
Main reason here is kind of what Dak said earlier. We've seen that not any coach, but multiple people have won here, and the reasons are obvious. You got buy-in from the athletic department. You have buy-in from the governor in terms of wanting the football program to be successful. You basically have your pick of the most athletic prospects in college football in the recruiting cycle every season. And yeah, really cool stadium as well. From what I've heard, haven't been there yet. Best atmosphere. So I got
Yes.
LSU at number 6. Number 7, Georgia Bulldogs. Kind of goes without saying. I mean, obviously, they've been the most dominant team these past like 3, 4 seasons here. Um, Big reason I have the other schools ahead of them right now is just more the kind of historically and maybe 1 or 2 other caveats. I don't really have anything to hate about Georgia. I just wouldn't necessarily put them on the level in terms of as good of a job as those other ones, mainly
Mhm.
just because it's really just recently we've seen Georgia be they've been amazing, but it's just recently in this past like decade we've seen them really be this dominant team. Number 8, I have USC. The reason I have them slightly over Oregon still is because they haven't been great recently, but I don't think that changes how good of a job it is necessarily. I don't want to hold Lincoln Riley not being able to field a good defense against them from being a great job. We saw with Pete Carroll, a great coach, how dominant they can be and how electric their atmosphere can be when you have the people that are living in Southern California bought in. Obviously, still can recruit at a big level. We talked about it earlier. They have the number 1 recruiting class right now.
Yeah.
And you have the
Mhm.
tradition. You play big games every year. I mean, you're in the Big Ten now, so you're playing either Michigan or Ohio State every year. Still playing Notre Dame every season. You're playing some epic
Yeah.
games. I'm going USC number 8 still. Following it up, Oregon at number 9. Uh, we talked about them a bunch already. It's just they are the team with the best uniform packages. It's probably the school you're gonna go to. You're gonna get the most gear possible that you're gonna get to keep for the rest of your life. Some of the coolest gear. And
That
yeah,
matters to kids in college, man. That matters to
Dude, it
recruiting.
matters a lot.
Matters
Yeah.
to us.
yeah,
We're in our late 20s now.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is a huge aspect. It's the aura. If this list was strictly aura, we're talking like minimal top 3 on the list
Yeah.
for sure.
I agree.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I got Oregon at 9, and then number 10. For me, this was the toughest one to put together. Was number 10 because I went back and forth with a bunch of schools. I'll throw out some schools that it's not real quick before I say who I have here. I
Okay.
really thought about putting Florida here. The tough part for me was with Florida. We saw the great run with Urban Meyer. Obviously, you have the Spurrier years. It's just we've seen that program be down a lot. I feel like even before we were alive, that program they've had highs, but they've had low lows. So
Yeah.
I didn't put Florida on there, but great school. Dak was saying it earlier before we hopped on here. Such a cool stadium too, from what it looks like. I haven't been there, but it just
Yeah.
looks like an awesome stadium. You have the most popular electrolyte drink in the world named after your football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Florida, honorable mention. I was not really thinking about A&M before this, but I do like that you guys brought them up. I think they're definitely, depending on what you really value, they're definitely worthy of being on the list for sure. And even Texas Tech too. You can see them getting up there now. If this list was for basketball, and I almost thought about bringing them up for football, I won't just because I'm gonna need to see a little bit more. But BYU, they're starting to pour the money in even too.
That's an
They got
interesting
their own.
one.
They got their own pocket of people for sure.
They
They
do. Yeah, that's
they
it. Yeah,
do.
good one.
Yeah. So BYU is one I at
It's
least
a lot
had
of
come to
buy-in
mind. But
there. You got to be like more than Notre Dame. Like, you got to be about it. Like,
for sure. Yeah. So my number 10 though is I ended up going with Oklahoma.
that's a great one.
Just
I
because
feel
Good pick.
wrong for
the
leaving them off. I'll be honest. I feel wrong.
Good pick.
yeah, like they've just had so many Heisman winners, and even before like we got to this 12-team playoff, obviously they've been down with Venables, but it felt like it was Alabama, Georgia, or Oklahoma in the playoff every year. Like you were gonna see Oklahoma was always up there for a shot to make it to the playoffs. So I got Oklahoma number 10. I feel good about putting them in there. And yeah, I guess that's my list. I can't really think of any more honorable mentions I thought of.
I like the list, Stu. I think your approach of easier, but also it's like that you could kind of sell that because the Big Ten is going to get 3 teams. Like SEC only had 3 teams last year, and I think that'll change as time goes on. Like Michigan will either be really good or one of these other teams will be good. Like this is a down year for the Big Ten, and there's 18 teams. There's a lot of shit teams in the Big Ten, so I think that's a fair point. And then when I go like I have a lot of heavy SEC, it's just like these kids. There's more NFL players come out of the SEC. Like there's both. There's a lot of sides to this coin. I think Notre Dame's the one. Number 2, like why 2? Because they're not in a conference or the tradition, or why do you have them at 2 though? Like what that's high, I mean, it is. I like the job. I think it belongs
Yeah,
on this list.
I think the thing that brought them that high was just to me it feels like it's remarkably easier to make the playoff at Notre
Yeah.
Dame than even at some of these other big schools we mentioned here. Like even I mean Georgia's obviously going to be in the playoffs still, but Notre Dame, if they fielded a little bit of a better team this year, let's say they don't lose one of those games to A&M or Miami, like way easier for them to make the playoff than a team like Georgia. So that's kind of my main reason for having them as high as they are. If they were in a conference, we're probably looking at them probably like in the 6-7 area.
And let's just be honest here. If yes, damn, I missed it too. If a deadbeat like Brian Kelly can last at Notre Dame for 12 years, then I'd
Take them to
feel
a championship too.
took him to a championship and 2 playoff appearances. I would honestly feel comfortable tossing my 86-year-old grandfather at the helm there, and I think he would have a little bit of success. And so, if that guy can do it, then I'm sure anyone could do it and not get fired. And so,
Okay.
I don't blame him.
Okay. Quickly, because we've gone. This has
You
been a
can
long
you can
episode.
kill a man and not get fired at Notre Dame, as we've seen.
Oh,
Quite
damn.
literally, yes.
We'll be quick. Schools we haven't mentioned. Schools we haven't honorable mentions. Schools we haven't mentioned. I'll go like for me. There's a few
Auburn,
teams that I'd go Penn State. Penn
Penn
State.
State.
Penn State still like good job. Like Penn State, we brought up Tech and what they are. I think the BYU one's interesting, Stu. Utah has become a better job, but I'll go Penn State as my
You know
next
what I think the biggest one is that say we were on ESPN right now, we would have folks fuming. I think no Tennessee. Nobody has even whispered Tennessee.
Good job. It's a
I
good
think
job,
most people
but
consider that to be a huge job, dude. Yeah.
big job, but it's
I
not.
mean, they've thrown Josh Heupel's name in the ring for other jobs already, so clearly it's not that big of a job.
They have. We
I
mentioned
think
Florida
it's
State.
I think it's in the top 20, no doubt, maybe top 15. But I think for me, the one that like felt awful keeping him out and Stu Adam was Oklahoma. Like that's such a good job.
I regret my number 10 because I like Florida more than Miami. I like Oklahoma more than Miami. I honestly kind of like Florida State more than Miami. What do you
Florida
guys think?
State's a good job. It's just Florida's
Clemson?
tough to recruit because you're recruiting amongst each other.
Exactly. Clemson, it's not a bad job, but it's kind of just Dabo built it.
Yes. Yeah.
One that will be coveted once somebody that we talk about a lot on the show builds it back up and brings them to glory will be North Carolina.
No, will not.
So we're about to
Ball
go through
sack
this
Matt was
ChatGPT
no
list
try.
real quick.
So not yet.
I'm pretty sure North Carolina made ChatGPT's list, but we'll see.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
about
we
to
got to
about
do
to fly through it real
ChatGPT.
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just gonna go
Colorado's
through it real
another
quick.
interesting one too.
So as you can see right here, this was the criteria we fed ChatGPT. So historical success, wins, championships, legacy. That was the biggest thing at 35%. 15% program tradition and brand power. 15% conference prestige. 15 for NIL and recruiting power. 10 for NFL pipeline and Heisman winner. 5% considering their most recent state, past 5-10 years. 5% considering the alumni and booster support. So we'll go down here. ChatGPT through Bama number one. I really think the 18 natties carried here for them in terms of I think ChatGPT looked at that and was like, yeah, we can't put these guys
Is that
at
right?
number one.
Is Alabama have 18?
I don't maybe they have it wrong. I don't know, but that's what they gave them.
Saban won 6. I think Bear Bryant won like 6. Probably some back in the day, I guess.
Probably, I guess.
The random
I mean, he
claimed
won
one.
6, right? Yeah.
I think this is wrong because Ohio State they have more than 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they have 13 now.
I don't know because Michigan has more all time than Ohio
Michigan
State.
does have more than? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they do have 8 then. Okay.
I'm double checking the Ohio State one real quick.
Okay.
Ohio State has 9, so ChatGPT didn't give them their one from last year.
Okay.
It says Alabama because it might have gone to like old times, has 16.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably
So
just depends
little
on
off. Still though, 16, crazy
That
number.
sounds right. I think 16 is right, but still a lot. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. NFL output obviously crazy for Alabama. They got Ohio State too. Apparently Ohio State has the most Heismans ever. I did not know that. Kind of sick. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
3,
Archie
Michigan.
Griffin, 2.
Yeah.
4, Georgia. All right, so ChatGPT really likes Georgia a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, I think it's such a good job.
Notre Dame number 5.
Yep.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
7
All right.
Heismans is also
ChatGPT
pretty
is
crazy.
full of shit. Are you kidding me? Number 9. Whatever, ChatGPT, stupid.
ChatGPT is not considering the fact that LSU does not have, or that they won natties with so many different coaches. I forgot. I'm not really reading these out loud. I probably should, because we're on Spotify now. So yeah, it was Georgia 4, Notre Dame's at 5. We got Texas at 6, Oklahoma at 7, USC at 8, LSU at 9, Florida 10. And then it gave us the top 25 jobs. So I'll fly through them. 11, Florida State, 12, Penn State, 13, Clemson, 14, Miami, 15, Oregon. They went really low on Oregon.
Yeah.
16, A&M, 17, Tennessee. There's your Tennessee deck. 18, Auburn. I don't know how I feel about that one either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
19, Washington.
Good
20,
job.
Nebraska.
Nebraska is not a bad job either.
Nebraska's a good one. Agreed.
21 Wisconsin, 22 Utah. Wow, to be honest, did not think we would see that one in here. 23 Ole Miss, 24 UCLA. Wow. And then 25 North Carolina. These ones are interesting down
North
here.
Carolina, I was joking.
Okay,
I
so
don't
there's
think
no Texas Tech, right?
Yeah, like no Texas Tech
Yeah.
on here, which is crazy. Like,
Yeah, it's the Heisman for UCLA.
UCLA used to be a huge brand.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Who won the Heisman there? It wasn't Aikman, right?
I
No,
don't think so.
I don't think Aikman won a Heisman. Maybe he did.
It wasn't Tom Harmon or Harmon? What was his name?
I'm gonna see UCLA Heisman winner.
I don't know this guy.
Oh, Gary.
Gary
Evan Hogan.
Baban. Beban or Baban. Don't know how you
But
say that.
he did. He actually did the country a service. He won the
North
Heisman.
Carolina.
He won the Heisman. Gary Baban won the Heisman that year over O.J. Simpson. So he stopped OJ from winning a second Heisman. Unfortunately, he could
Should have stopped him from killing a woman.
stop OJ from killing his wife. Yes.
I was gonna say, surprised OJ didn't kill him for that.
Have you guys ever
That's
seen
crazy.
the theory that it was like OJ's
His son.
Yeah, hated her, and that's why he ran away. He was basically trying to cover up for his son.
His little son.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've watched some YouTube videos on that,
Kind of
and
bought in.
I kind of am, because if you think about it, it's like I get OJ probably knew he was getting old, but like, dude, he was so active on Twitter and in everything, like in his later years. And looking at him, I know looks can be deceiving, but I don't know. I feel like this guy, like, he's either a psychopath and he did kill someone, but he was always acting a little too normal to be someone who killed someone to me.
You know, Stu, your first inclination was probably right, though. He's probably a psychopath who killed someone and then acted normal about it.
I think Tennessee
Yeah.
is a name worth mentioning that we didn't until later on, right? Like I do think Tennessee's a top 15 job as I look at these.
I agree.
Tennessee's a good
Tennessee, I think my own list, my biggest regret, same as you, I would say either Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma and Florida as a job more than Miami. Miami's just got a lot of resources right now. It's really the only thing. But
What job would you rather have, Tennessee or Florida State?
Tennessee.
Same. I go to be honest with you, I go
Awesome
Tennessee
stadium.
over.
I know.
I go
Florida
Tennessee
State's really
over
cool
these
too.
4 schools right here. I would go Tennessee over all 4 of these.
Yeah.
I would.
Penn State would be. I get why you I would probably put them ahead as a job, but they're like that's a good comp. Tennessee and Penn State are kind of the comp for Big Ten and SEC.
I agree, and it goes back to your thing, Stu, because that's kind of how I did my rankings as well. Or it's tough, but like there might be a school where it's easier to recruit at, but like the difference between Tennessee and Penn State is winning 10 games consistently at Penn State has been easier. Like they've been better, obviously, but I'm sure Penn State wouldn't have a lot of fun playing Georgia and Alabama every single year, amongst the rest of it.
True.
I gotta say this with Penn State too. Like, there's that Sandusky stink that will never go away.
Yeah,
that's I'm not even being like.
Yeah,
that's true. You don't have a real rival. You don't have a real rivalry game that you're participating in.
He's still alive, Jerry.
Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah.
Sandusky?
Yeah.
What about him?
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's incarcerated.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's alive.
Yeah, I think I saw an article. He might be getting out, which is pretty messed up.
He's alive.
Yeah, but that's a bad look. You're right. Killed Jopa. He cashed when all that came out.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on that, but we'll get to Dak's Dawg. How about that? We're coming up on 2 hours.
Coming up on 2 hours. Yeah,
we haven't wrapped it up here.
We haven't done a 2-hour rip in a while, but Dak's Dawg, great slate of football. A lot of great performances. Considered giving it to Texas Tech, their defense, but I'm gonna go a different direction. I'm giving it to the guy that made probably the best college football catch that I've seen, maybe ever. And it's I forgot his first name. What's his last name? Omar Cooper.
Omar Cooper Jr. And I'm gonna pull up the video of his catch.
Nice.
Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. I think the craziest part is he actually didn't get his first foot down, but he kept it up and got a second foot down. He got that left foot in.
That was crazy.
It is going insanely slow.
Yeah, because you weren't. This is internal stuff. You weren't with us when this was happening, right?
No, I was with Ryan, who went to Indiana, big IU fan, and his two buddies who are also IU fans. And we were golfing and watching it.
That's right. You were golfing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a play.
We put it in later.
Yeah. Omar Cooper Jr., great catch. It was awesome.
If you didn't see it, check it out. I had my dad look it up. It's that good.
Also, a small honorary shout out to, I haven't given him a whole lot of love, but Heisman Mendoza. He's got a chance to get it done. And
did Ryan tell you to say that? Heisman Mendoza?
That's what Ryan always calls him.
That's
Heisman
not.
Mendoza.
That's not a thing. That's not.
I know.
It does not flow off the tongue.
I don't know. I kind of like it. Maybe it's just because I've heard it. Heisman Mendoza. Yeah. Fernando Mendoza. Heisman Mendoza. It's probably just because I've heard it so much now.
Heisman Mendoza.
I think next week, Dak, we gotta release the first Dak's Top Dog watch list because we are getting towards the end of the season here. I'm just gonna list off who we've had this season so far.
Nuss has been on here, right?
Nuss has not been on here. No Nuss.
Good. Undeserved.
Who was
lazy sack of shit?
So we got. I'll walk us through every week so far who we have for Dak's Dog. We've had Harold Perkins.
Okay. Transfer portal Perkins.
We've had Haynes King.
Well deserved.
Yep, transfer portal Perkins. We got Haynes King. We got who I think this would be my vote for Dak's Top Dog, the legendary Diego Pavia.
Yep.
We have Dante Moore.
Nice.
Nico Iamaliva.
Wow.
That's when they beat
the first coach to ever win. The first coach to ever win Dak's Dog, Kurt Signetti. We have Jeremiah Love.
Nice.
Marcel Reed. And last week did you do Bill Belichick last week for your Dak's Dog?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah. So we got Chapel Bill, and then Omar Cooper Jr. So crazy list.
I thought one of these weeks I gave it to Messamaker, but I think I was gonna give it to him last week, but I gave it to Chapel Bill, and so, but we'll see. It's coming down the stretch. No repeat.
Bowling Bill. Will Bill go bowling?
Yeah, you know what? He's gonna. He's on the up and up.
They're gonna beat Duke.
I saw. Is he the odds-on favorite to be the Giants' next head coach? I saw that.
God.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
All right, fellas, under 2 hours. Good stuff. Unless you guys got anything, that was great. We get covered on everything that's going on this upcoming week, the rankings, and then that top 10 was fantastic, fellas. I know we had kept a lot of the same jobs. I think in all different orders you can argue it, but overall. Great episode, great 11, and we'll get to episode 12 here. So stay tuned. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you. Give us a like, give us that 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, give us a subscribe. Follow us on socials. We're all over the place. We're doing it for you. Season 3, fellas. We're making it up. And shout out to Carolina Mike. We must shout out Carolina Mike.
Yeah.
He fulfilled what Stu, you brought this up.
His destiny, man.
Yeah, we said it. We had Carolina Mike on first TRC guest ever that wasn't already our friend. So shout out to him for that. Secondly, we mentioned during that show, we got to get Carolina Mike to a Panthers game. Did we do it? I don't know. I'm gonna take.
I think we did.
Some more credit
for
being the first ones to put it out there. Yeah, we were the first ones to put it out there. So hey. All the credits to you, Carolina Mike, but we're happy that we got to have you on, and we're happy that you finally made it to a Panthers game.
Yes.
Sweet. Fun little fact, just to close this out. Every single year since the first college football playoff in 2014, so every year after, when the second rankings are released, one of the teams ranked in the top 3 has gone on to win the national championship every year.
Wow.
Will it happen again? We'll see.
All right. Well, that's a great fact. That's the Dak fact of the day. I like that. No, I
Thanks.
like it.
I
Dak's
was
fact.
saving that one. Yeah, that's good.
Dak's
fact.
dog to Dak's fact. Well, maybe we'll do that segment. We'll implement that. But fellas, great episode. Right at the 2-hour mark. Good stuff. We will see you next week.
All right. See you, boys.
Peace.
See you, fellas.